So let's talk about one of the biggest questions there is. What makes you, well, you? For literally centuries, we've been trying to figure out the puzzle of human personality. And really, the whole thing boils down to one fundamental debate. Think about it for a second. Do you feel like you fit neatly into a box? Are you the creative type, or the quiet one, or some other clear, simple label? Or is your personality more like a custom recipe, a totally unique mix of different ingredients? Maybe you've got a pinch of anxiety, a cup of curiosity, and a whole lot of loyalty. Today, we're going to dig into these two totally different ways of seeing ourselves. Okay, first up, let's look at the type approach. This is the old school way of thinking about personality, the one that's all about sorting people into distinct groups. So what does that even mean? Well, a type is basically just a category. It's a bucket for people who all seem to share the same general vibe. It's like sorting M&Ms. You've got your reds, your blues, your yellows. It's an all-or-nothing kind of system. You're in one bucket or you're in another. And trust me, this idea has been around forever. We're talking all the way back to 400 BC with the Greek physician Hippocrates. And this idea just kept popping up again and again, all the way into the 20th century, with theories based on everything from your body shape to, of course, your mind. And a lot of the early theories were surprisingly physical. I mean, Hippocrates thought your personality was based on which of four bodily fluids, or humors, was dominant in your system. Wild, right? Millennia later, people like Kretschmer and Sheldon were still trying to connect personality to your body type, whether you were round, thin, or muscular. But the type theory that really, truly changed the game had nothing to do with our bodies. It came from the absolute legend, psychologist Carl Jung. And he turned the focus inward, to our psychology. And Jung gave us two labels that I guarantee you know: extroverts and introverts. You've got extroverts, who are outgoing and energized by being around people, and then you've got introverts, who are more reserved and recharge their batteries by being alone. It's a simple split, right? You're one or the other. But is life really that simple? And that very question leads us to a completely different way of thinking about all this. This is the trait approach. And this one, it throws the boxes right out the window. Instead, it looks at personality as a series of spectrums. So what is a trait exactly? Well, the key parts are right there in the definition. It's a characteristic that's pretty permanent, it sticks with you over time, and it's pretty consistent across different situations. It's not about what group you belong to. It's about the stable, individual building blocks that make you, you. And the real pioneer of this whole idea was a psychologist named Gordon Allport. He's the one who really pushed back against types, arguing that instead of trying to force people into broad categories, we should be looking at the unique combination of individual traits that makes every person different. Now, Allport didn't just say there are traits, he organized them. He said some people have a rare cardinal trait, one single thing that is so powerful it basically defines their whole life. Much more common are our central traits. These are the core 5 to 10 things that really make up your personality. And then there are secondary traits. Your preferences, your attitudes, the things that are less consistent, like your taste in movies. Okay, so Allport laid all this amazing groundwork, and that work kicked off decades of research that eventually led scientists to what is now the most widely accepted model of personality in the world. So, just imagine researchers gathering mountains of data from thousands upon thousands of people. They're looking at all the words people use to describe themselves and others, and as they crunched all that data, something incredible happened. They realized certain traits always seem to cluster together, almost like constellations in the night sky. This wasn't just one person's opinion. This was a pattern emerging from the data itself. So how many of these core personality clusters did they find? After all that work, the number that kept showing up again and again and again was 5. And here they are, the famous Big 5, which you can remember with the handy acronym OCEAN. You've got openness to experience, how curious and imaginative you are. Conscientiousness, how organized and disciplined you are. Extroversion, how much you're energized by social interaction. Agreeableness, how cooperative and kind you are. And neuroticism, which is really about emotional stability. And here's the magic. You aren't just one of these things. For each one, you fall somewhere on a spectrum, a sliding scale. So we've gone from ancient Greek humors to modern data science. But why does any of this actually matter? Why is this shift from types to traits such a big deal? Here it is, the core difference, plain and simple. The type approach is either or. It's a light switch. You are either an introvert or an extrovert. The end. But the trait approach is all about how much. It's not a switch, it's a dimmer. It asks, on a scale, how extroverted are you? It allows for all the gray area, all the nuance that makes us human. And this gets to the single biggest problem with thinking in types. When you force people into boxes, you risk flattening them out. You create stereotypes, these simple cartoons that miss all the amazing complexity of who a person really is. But the modern trait model, it does the exact opposite. It's all about celebrating that complexity. By looking at where you land on each of those 5 different spectrums, it helps create a personality profile that is completely uniquely yours. So the next time you think about who you are, maybe don't ask, what type am I? Instead, try asking, what does my unique profile of traits look like? Because realizing you're not a category but a one-of-a-kind combination, well, that's the first step to truly understanding yourself.